Okay, shalom, shalom. It's exciting and wonderful to be here with my very dear friend, who I've known, well, quite a few years, Carol Shrestha Asher, who has brought a revolution to Israel, and or at least to my New Age circle of friends. No, but it's more than that. It's spreading, and so welcome, Shrestha Carol. How are you?
I'm wonderful, and it's wonderful to see you again. And it's a particularly beautiful day.
It's a beautiful June 18th.
Yes.
We're 3 days away from summer solstice, like you just said, and sitting in front of that lemon tree behind you, and looking the way you do, you are the very image of the summer solstice, Shrestha.
Thank you.
And nobody would ever know that you're a grandmother of two.
Yes.
Well, anyway, it's really special for me to have you here. First of all, Shrestha, you're from Australia, is that right?
Yes. I was born in Melbourne.
In Melbourne?
Yeah.
Okay. And when you came and brought this revolution, this oneness, enlightenment revolution to Israel, what year was that?
2004.
2004.
Yeah.
Okay. And you've come, and why did you come in 2004, and what was the nature of your mission and your work?
Well, you know about Sri Aman Bhagavan.
I know, but I want
Yes.
our audience to know.
Yes. Well, for me it started in 2003, in fact.
Okay.
And I was in India attending what was called an experience festival, a festival to teach about using essential oils energetically for the chakras, and I gave another lecture about my flower essence system that I make from the south of France, and tours to the south of France with the Mary Magdalene work, and I was there presenting. It was over 300 or 500 people that were there, and at the time my husband got sick. I was very depressed because I was so shocked when this was my first visit to India, and seeing all the poverty, and just I had a bad reaction, you could say. I was in total culture shock.
Yes.
And it was very difficult for me. And the first day I was there, I actually wanted to go home. But because I had the commitment to the students, I said, no, we'll stay. So then my husband, who's now an ex-husband, he got sick. He had very bad, diarrhea, and he had high fever. So I went to the shop to get him some water. And on the way to the shop, casually, this young man passed, wearing white, and he was one of the monks of this spiritual organization. And I didn't know him. I just recognized him because he did the opening ceremony for this festival.
Okay.
So here I am, and I'm down, I'm depressed, I'm obviously in a lot of fear, because
Yes.
depression is a sign of fear, and I'm in bad reaction. And he passes, and he stopped. He recognized me as one of the teachers at this experience festival. And until that point, I had nothing to do with Indian spirituality. I wasn't interested. So I did not know any of the manners, any of the customs. But I'd already picked up that you go like this.
Yes.
So I saw him, and I went like this. And he stopped, and he looked at me, and he looked me in the eye. And then he turned around and went wherever he was going. And in those few seconds that he looked me in the eye, all of a sudden, unexpectedly, I went from the state of being depressed into a state of bliss.
Incredible.
Instantly.
Incredible.
And at the same time, my heart chakra went vroom.
Whoa.
It was physical, vroom, like that. And I started crying, but he'd already left. I was just in bliss and crying, like in this ecstasy.
Oh my.
Yeah. There was no water. I walked back to the hut. I was staying in a hut with my ex, and his name was Robert. is Robert, and I'm crying and I'm flustered, and it's like, and he's like, what happened? I said, you won't believe what just happened. And I communicated to him what happened, and he started to cry.
Oh my goodness.
And my brain, I couldn't understand what was going on. So I asked him, I said, Robert, why are you crying? And he says, I don't know. So that whatever happened to me was transferred to him, and we didn't know what had happened.
My goodness.
But it was so good. It was so wonderful that we started inquiring, and we found out that this young man was one of the disciples of Sri Bhagavan. And he told us about the vision for the world. At the time, this was 2003. So it was the first time we heard about 2012 and the revolution that was about to happen, and bringing in the golden age, and how there's going to be a shift of consciousness for humanity, a global shift of consciousness. And he said, I have this experience and this consciousness because of my teacher, Sri Bhagavan. Would you like to meet him?
Whoa.
So then a group of about 20 of the teachers at the festival said yes. And we had a meeting with Sri Bhagavan, a private meeting. And again, I knew nothing. I was a bit shy, actually. I didn't know quite what to do. They said to us, pre-prepare questions. I didn't have any questions. I didn't know what to ask this man. So I watched, I observed as all the teachers asked questions. So the whole time he was answering, I was looking at him, and I was looking at his aura, I was feeling his energy.
Yeah.
And after about 2 hours, I was looking for fault. I was looking to judge. I was looking to find some hole, you know, in whatever he was saying. And there was none.
Yes.
This man is completely pure. He was, I'd never met anybody like that. There was nothing to hide. It was all clean, open, pure energy, and it was full of love. Absolutely full of love. Everybody that came got not just their answer, but more, with complete acceptance, complete love. So I was very impressed, and I believed him. I trusted, and that's when the bond was created.
Yes.
And he said then, I think that was August 2003, and he said, in 2004, we're going to start doing processes for the Westerners, and you're invited. So at the time, Robert went first, and I went to the second process in March 2004. And then in that process, it was an awakening process. We each had private interviews with Sri Bhagavan. And in my private interview, he asked me about my childhood. And I told him that I was brought up in a kibbutz here in Israel. And he asked, do you speak Hebrew? And I said, yes, I do. And he said, well, would you go to Israel and bring them enlightenment?
Oh, wow.
And of course I said, yes.
All because your husband wasn't feeling good, and you had to go and buy some water.
Yeah.
And that's how life is, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't the real reason.
Yes.
You had to meet who you had to meet.
Well, all because, greater than that, we were planning to do a workshop in the south of France that year, and the SARS virus broke out. So people cancelled, and we had these tickets that the airline said you can convert them to something else. So when this opportunity came, we said, yeah, sure, let's go to India.
Oh my.
Because it was for free, we weren't paid. We said, but we already had the tickets, so let's go on an adventure.
Wow. But that's life.
That's how it is. Something leads to something else. You just never know.
You just never know.
And nothing's a coincidence.
It's the invisible hand of God.
Yes.
Or our guides,
Yes.
or higher self,
Yes.
or whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
So he gave you a mission.
And I said yes. I said as long as you protect me, as long as you take care of me, and of course he has. And I started, and at the time I didn't have any contacts here.
Okay.
I didn't know anybody that would be interested.
I imagine that's right.
At the time.
So how did you manage?
It was through.
This is after you did the whole, it was a month-long process?
It was a 21-day process.
21-day process.
That initiated the energy in the Western world for this whole movement that now is just booming and spreading everywhere.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So you had your 21-day initiation.
Yeah.
And you were sent on a mission.
Yeah. And at the time, because of the process, I was in a very, very high state.
Okay.
So I came here with a lot of energy, with a lot of light.
Yes.
Because I was my Kundalini at the time was very, very high, and it lasted like that for about 2 years or so, in that very high state. So I was very driven, and very powerful. The dikshas, the transfer of energies, the oneness blessing that I gave then was incredibly powerful, which was needed to anchor the energy here.
And our mutual friend, Kohava, she
yes.
talks about receiving one of those dikshas
Yes.
and how it was so incredibly powerful.
Yes.
So how did you manage if you
those were magic days.
Yes, they were
The beginning.
How did you
Well,
manage?
apparently at the time there was an elderly man, Yakov. I think you've met Yakov and his wife Dora.
I don't remember.
They were from Russia, and he had connections with the Russian group that had already formed, and through them, that's how he knew about it.
Okay.
And I really don't remember how, but somebody had given me his phone number. Somebody from the Russian group said this, an Israeli that's come here to Russia and he's already been exposed to this energy.
Yes.
And I contacted him. And it was very small beginnings, very humble. We did the very first workshop, which was a week long, in his living room.
Okay.
And they hosted me, he and his wife, an elderly couple. They hosted me, and that's how it started.
And eventually you would go on and meet Kohava.
Yes.
Who's been your host and
Yes,
friend
ever since.
ever since.
Yes,
And
yes.
Like
we did
sister,
a few. Yeah.
sister in the sacred work.
Yes. Yes.
And
It was wonderful. It is wonderful.
It is wonderful, and
Yeah.
it spread. And in 2 days, Shrestha, 2 days, no, 3 or 4 days, 4 or 5 days from now, there's going to be a big gathering in this place, in our home.
Yes.
Here, and there'll be people who learn the Diksha coming from all over Israel and from Europe as well, including Holland and Sweden, and it's become quite popular in the New Age community. Everybody knows what the Diksha is.
And now you're talking about the Om? That's gathering? Or something before that?
The Om is, we'll have to describe what the Om is. Kirsten
Yes.
coming as well.
Yes, from Sweden.
From Sweden.
Yeah.
So it's become quite popular in Israel, like I say. In the New Age circles, everybody knows Diksha.
Good.
At least they know the word, and probably they've had it once or twice.
Yes.
And a lot of other people have had it. So you talked about, I want to go back, you said that Bhagavan talked about a revolution and something happening in 2012.
Yes.
And so you've been working towards that
Yes.
for many, many years now, and here we are now, thank God, in 2013. So what was supposed to happen, and what did happen, and what is the meaning of it all?
As predicted and as intended, last year, 2012, people started to spontaneously awaken.
Okay.
Even people who either went to India as part of oneness, but also people all over the world who weren't even connected to oneness started
When
to
you say
awaken.
oneness, you mean the specific initiation that you learned. That's what you mean by oneness. What do you mean by oneness?
Okay,
Do
so...
you mean the word oneness? Or do you mean a specific...
Oh, okay. Specifically what Sri Bhagavan and Amma, his wife, talk about
Yes.
is the end of suffering.
Okay.
The declutchment from the mind
Okay.
has
That's
happened.
already interesting.
Has happened.
Okay.
It's amazing.
For some people.
Yeah.
Not for all people. Not by all means.
Eventually it'll happen to everybody.
Okay.
So the mind that's created all this suffering for since forever, you could say, will become is becoming declutched, so that the essence of the being, you know, existence, consciousness, bliss, which is the essence of the being, the heart, will be the king, will be the master, and the mind the servant.
Yes.
Whereas until now, the mind has been the king and the master.
Absolutely.
So it's all slowly but surely changing over.
Yes, I do believe that. And you say that's been happening since 2012.
Yeah, there was a spontaneous awakening of masses of people, either connected in with oneness, so directly from the Diksha and directly from the association with the university,
Yes.
but also in other groups, other places around the world. It's amazing. It's a phenomenon that is happening all over the world.
Okay.
Sri Amma Bhagavan were very specific that they were responsible for a certain amount of people that were helping manifest this vision through the oneness blessing, with full awareness that there were other masters and other beings around the world who were working towards the same purpose.
Yofi, that's beautiful. That full awareness that they
Yeah.
are part of
Yeah.
of a team of light,
Yes.
of great light servers.
Yes.
And it reflects a basic humility to understand that. Okay, so here we are in 2013, and why are you here now?
Yeah. I just want to go back and say that the awakening, and it's important because there's an audience here that's listening or watching, that the awakening is end of suffering. Because people are suffering. People are suffering.
Most people are suffering big time.
And the suffering comes from fear.
Yeah.
It comes from fear of life. Fundamentally, it's a fear of life, resistance to life, an inability, literally biological inability to accept life the way it is. That is also connected to the fact that people perceive life through a certain veil, or what we call the matrix, a certain matrix that the mind has created.
Yes.
And when one is declutched from that, something happens in the brain. The oneness blessing makes physiological changes in the brain that we are able to see reality as it is. It's like somebody's taken scissors and cut the cord, that cut the connection to the mind that covers up and puts a veil on everything. That's the declutchment that we're talking about.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit.
So the person is free from suffering. You have a choice. One has a choice. And you can even say beyond that, there's no longer a choice even, because it's automatic. So what happens now, for example with me, even if I want to suffer, I can't. It's impossible.
Okay, now, I really feel strongly driven to challenge you there. I would say that a lot of suffering comes from, well, one thing is physical pain.
Yes, that's pain. Bhagavan differentiates between pain and suffering. Pain is pain, but you experience the pain, right?
It's pretty much like suffering, if you ask me.
Suffering is when the mind interferes and makes it wrong and resists it.
Okay. Makes it wrong and resists it.
Yeah.
Like,
versus flowing with life and
what?
accepting. Versus flowing with life and accepting the isness of life.
I mean, theoretically, that sounds beautiful, but I've had trouble with sometimes with stomach pain, and it really could hurt.
Yeah.
And it sucks.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm not. And sometimes I'm screaming to God, at least in my head, not out loud, unless maybe I'm alone. This really sucks, you know. So if I'm enlightened or awakened, then I won't be screaming to the universe.
I don't know. You may still be. I'll give you a good example.
Okay.
Before I came to Israel, this time, I had horrible, horrible, horrible tooth pain.
Well, horrible is a pretty descriptive.
It was so bad. It was going down my throat. It was going into my ear. It was going above. I couldn't touch. It was so bad.
It wasn't horrible. It wasn't the isness of life. It was damn horrible.
It was horrible. Isness of life. It was horrible. Yes. And this was going on.
Okay.
And it took me about 3 days until I finally made it to a dentist. No pain, nothing helped. Painkillers didn't help. Nothing helped. And the crazy thing of it was that was going on, but I still, if you had asked me, Shrestha, are you suffering? I would have said, no, I'm not.
But aren't you screaming to the universe?
It hurts.
Mentally?
It hurts.
But aren't you screaming
Yes.
to the universe mentally? Why does life have to suck so much? Why do I have to...
That's already something else. That's already psychological suffering.
I understand. So you don't do
Based on history.
You don't do that?
Then you get into your patterns. But that's something else.
Okay, so you don't do that?
Look, when that comes up, my own patterns come up. That's a pattern. That's
Okay.
called a charge. When that comes up, it's
charge.
based on history.
Yes.
To say life
Well,
sucks, why
okay.
God have you given me this suffering, is based on history.
Sort of, I guess I could maybe see that, yeah.
It's not now. It's like the past is coming into the present
You
and
have,
influencing the
you
present.
have a charge
Yeah.
on your mouth being on fire. How could you not have a charge?
The suffering would have
How could you
been,
not have a charge?
if I had suffering, it would have been, I've had teeth problems all my life. Poor me. It reminds me of my childhood, when I was neglected, when nobody took care of me. That's the suffering.
Yeah, okay.
But the actual pain is pain. There's no suffering.
That's a distinguished...
But what's happening now, Eliyahu,
Yes.
is something's happened in the brain, and I can actually separate them. I can see it very clearly. It's a
Okay.
happening. It's no longer an argument or an opinion or me discussing something theoretically. It's actually what's happened in my brain. So whilst I was going through this, and the history, the ancient feelings from childhood, that pain, or that suffering was coming up, I could separate the two without effort. It was just, here I was with the pain in the teeth, witnessing these old feelings coming through the head. I was seeing them, feeling them, with a full knowing that there's actually no connection between them and what was going on here.
Okay.
That was the experience.
That's very impressive. So you were having those feelings and maybe even those habits coming up, but
yes.
you weren't
But I was aware.
identifying with them.
Exactly. Perfect. Yes, exactly. That's a miracle.
It is amazing.
That's a miracle. That's what's happened to me. That's why I can say there's no more suffering. I'm still in this awe of experience.
I've heard other masters talk about this difference between pain and suffering. And I don't know. I think a lot of pain is suffering, no matter what anybody says. But we make it much worse when we buy into the stories of why me and
Yeah, that's what we're
it
talking
shouldn't
about.
be and
Yeah.
how dare the universe, and that makes it worse. The stories in our head make it worse and exaggerate it, maybe multiply it. So
And this is, for me, is a beginning, because what you just said is acceptance. You know, when you accept. There's no more stories, you just accept the isness of what's going on.
And
And
you don't have to accept. I mean, just out of curiosity, I mean, frankly, I know there's a euthanasia center in Switzerland. And in Europe and places like Holland and Switzerland, it's very accepted, as I think it should be. If quality of life is non-existent or very, very low, and people are in pain all the time and miserable, there's no, I think, it's not about non-acceptance. They've had enough and want to leave. Maybe they know, like I do, like you do, that the body dies, but we don't die. So that's not, I mean, choosing to leave is not about non-acceptance of the pain. Maybe you know, you could accept the pain. Oh, well, I accept it, but I've had enough and I choose to leave. What are your thoughts?
That's as you're talking, I'm feeling that that's another kind of acceptance.
It is another kind of acceptance.
Yeah.
Yeah, in my opinion. So, fascinating. Okay, so enough of this talk about, it's an important subject.
It's important because I'm not preaching or talking about an ideal or a concept. This is a happening that's happening to you. As I'm observing and sharing what the shift. It's a slight shift, but it's a big shift.
It's a big shift.
And you may not be able to see it externally, but it's my inner world. And there's a shift. And I'm discovering it. It's fascinating.
You know, what I see is you have a power of positivity, Shrestha, which grows every time I see you. And I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, you can, in a sense, measure me, you know, from before and after.
Yes, absolutely.
Over time. And this is a beginning. I am.
Yeah, what?
I am more grounded.
Yes.
Because the fear is what makes us run away.
Yeah.
We want to run away. And now if there's more acceptance, there's less fear, so there's more acceptance, I can be here. We can be here.
Indeed. I want to ask you about the geometric form connected to the Diksha. What can you tell us about that?
The geometric
Yeah,
form.
you know, the golden ball.
Oh! I had really good experiences with the golden ball before, and they're good to share because I wasn't told about the golden ball. One thing I said after that first time in India, a lady, Raniji, who I mentioned before, she came to Australia to prepare people for the processes that were going to happen in 2004. So I went to one of her workshops. She at the time was working with Sri Bhagavan, Anama. And I went to one of her workshops. And again, it was all this Indian stuff that I wasn't used to. I'm a new ager, you know, more with the goddess energies, and I did all my...
I want to get into that.
My spiritual induction was more in the United States. You know, I was from a different stream. I didn't come from the Eastern stream, I came more from the Western stream.
Okay.
So I was very challenged with all the practices that they did. And we did a meditation, maybe it was a Vipassana meditation, something like that.
A breathing meditation.
Yeah, where we had to sit still and not move.
And breathe.
Yeah.
Focus on the breath.
But we're not allowed to move.
Yeah, that's hard.
So the way you sit, that's it. You have to stay like that, say, for half an hour, an hour.
That's not easy.
And I'm sitting in the front row, and all of a sudden, it's like, I have to sleep. I got so sleepy, and I just wanted to go like that, you know?
Uh-huh.
And I was fighting it, and I was fighting it, and fighting it, and finally I surrendered. I was like, okay, I'm sitting in the front row, I'll fall down, everybody's going to see it, I have to let go of the ego, of the pride, what can I do? I surrendered.
Okay.
And as I did that, instead of really falling asleep, what happened was, I became alert. And all of a sudden, I saw this golden ball of hovering above my head.
Ooh.
And the top of my head opened up. You know how you cut open a grapefruit? You know, and you scoop out? It was like that. The top of my head opened up. And this golden ball was like pouring itself into me. And what I was to do, what I felt to do, was allow it to fill up my entire head, and then slowly but surely come into my entire body. And I could see it. I was allowing it and assisting it to enter every space, every pore, every, even in the bones, they're not that dense, they're still hollows in the bones,
Yes, of course.
to allow the golden light to enter into every part of my body like that. And I was alive inside from this golden ball, and then this energy, and then I lay down. Later on, I shared with the teacher, the facilitator, what had happened. And that's when she said to us, yes, I'll tell you about the golden ball. This is the energy that Sri Bhagavan and Amma are transferring to the world. And the intelligence, the consciousness of awakening is in this golden ball. And the golden ball has the ability to awaken everybody. It is so intelligent. It's God's intelligence is inside this golden ball. And it has the ability to work with the individual, with every individual, with each individual's program, and do whatever is necessary to bring that person on their own individual path to awakening. And that's what it's doing.
I've heard the phrase, the geometric form of enlightenment.
Yes, it is that.
It is that.
It's in it. So that would be inside the golden ball.
Okay.
And people see it. Well, I saw it that way.
Kohana saw it, didn't she?
Yeah. Many people see it.
And the story goes that he was in meditation for...
Since he was a child, since he was 3 years old.
And he received the golden ball?
It came to him, and he was compelled to chant into it.
Yes.
For I think until after he was 18.
Oh,
So instead of
interesting.
going outside and playing with the kids, you can imagine in India, all the kids are playing outside.
Yeah.
He insisted on staying in his room and communicating with this golden ball. He said it was relentless. It wouldn't let him alone. He had to. He was compelled.
It reminds me of the stories in Yogananda's book, The Autobiography of a Yogi, incredible stories about incredible avatars who are chosen from early on and who have these incredible lives.
Yes.
And it's supposed to be like from some God dimension and...
It's from Satyaloka, from the central sun. He comes from the central sun. And the golden ball carries that energy. It's the same, one and the same.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. So now I have to ask, why are you here now in 2013? What's the mission now?
It continues. It'll never end while I'm alive, obviously.
Good.
And this year, I asked permission from Sri Bhagavan for a webcast in Jerusalem.
Okay.
I asked him to give us a webcast in Jerusalem based on a vision that I had last year. I was actually receiving an Om.
A what?
An Om, which we're going to talk about later. An Om, which is an I Diksha.
Okay, you were receiving?
In Sydney. There was a big event in Sydney last year.
Yes.
And whilst I was receiving a very powerful Om from 4 people, not one, from 4 people.
Physical people.
Yeah.
Who transmitted the energy through their eyes.
Yes.
That's called an Om.
Yes.
It's the highest level.
Oneness meditation blessing.
Oneness meditation blessing. It's the highest level of the Diksha.
At the moment, yes.
At the moment that somebody could do other than Bhagavan and Amma themselves.
Which is what I received originally in 2003
Yes.
from this monk.
Yes. Okay.
That was the power.
So, okay.
It's the same.
So
So,
4 people transmitted that to you back in Sydney, correct?
yeah, so there's Om givers all over the world.
Okay.
And this was an event in Sydney with the 2 Om givers from Australia and 2 Om givers from New Zealand.
Om spelled O-M or O-M?
Yeah,
Okay.
OM, Oneness Meditation.
Okay.
So whilst I was receiving the energy, first I received the energy and then I closed my eyes, and as I closed my eyes, I was taken directly here in Jerusalem to Har HaBayit.
The Temple Mount.
Yes. And I was shown that there's a huge energy portal there.
For sure.
I didn't know this.
Okay.
So I was shown this. And whatever energy is put in there will and does influence all of Israel in the Middle East.
And the world. And who,
Yeah.
What happened? What?
So then when I
Yeah.
saw that, it was like, wow, okay. So how do we impact it, that portal, to such a degree that we can have a mass awakening in Israel? So in Israel we have 7 million people.
Yeah.
We need 70 awakened ones, awakened beings, to impact the 7 million people, because each individual impacts 100,000 people.
Not bad.
So then I had the vision of bringing 70 awakened beings as close as possible to the Temple Mount in a very focused, intended way, you know, with a strong intention, pouring in this awakening energy into that region. So I thought, okay, let's have an event. Let's have an event
Where are you going to do it?
here in Jerusalem.
Are you going to do it, you know, in the plaza by the...
We can't have the event. This is so out of all that,
Western Wall?
logically, practically, what's come out of it is we're having a 2-day event in Jerusalem at the Caesar Hotel, is where we could get an event hall to accommodate also the people that are coming from overseas, and that will impact all of Jerusalem. We're having already, it's only a week into advertising it, we've already got 5 Om givers coming.
Okay.
I want a dozen, if possible, from all over the world.
Okay.
They're coming. And awakened beings are coming. And for those people who are coming for the 2-day event, we're also providing a oneness tour to the Holy Land that will continue. And on one of the days, we will be going to the old city of Jerusalem and, you could say, feeding, you know, putting in this energy all over
Okay,
the
wow.
old city.
Just an idea, you know, the plaza by the wall, there is an area, there's a big area where you don't have to be Jewish and praying by the wall. First of all, anybody can pray by the wall, but there's an area in the vicinity of the wall where a lot of people could gather and do whatever they want.
Wonderful.
What?
Wonderful.
So, I mean, theoretically,
We'll do that, yes.
if you want to get close to the Temple Mount,
Yes.
then that's the place to
To
be.
do it, yes. Which we will do. Thank
Okay.
you, yeah.
So, and you know,
And during the event itself, the 2-day event, because we'll be having lots and lots of Oms and awakening Diksha from all these awakened beings that are coming from all over, including some locals,
yes,
the idea is that people will awaken then and there during these 2 days.
okay.
And
Wow.
this replaces, Sri Bhagavan and Amma have said, that for those who cannot go to India, they cannot take a month off, because now the processes are 28 days. They can't physically go to India. They can't take the month off. Maybe they don't have the money for flights for the process.
Yeah.
They have the same opportunity of what's happening there to happen here.
Okay.
So
wow.
it's an official Oneness University event.
Wow. Wow.
And during that time, Sri Bhagavan will give us a webcast where he'll be probably blasting us with his grace and his
yes,
energy.
yes.
You have to come.
I will come.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
When is it?
It's the 10th and 11th of October, which is a Thursday and Friday.
Okay. Oh, it's very exciting, Shresh.
Yes, it is very, very exciting. And as the university said to us, Bhagavan is coming to Jerusalem
Yes.
to
Yes, in a very, very, very essential.
to anchor the golden age. 2013 is the beginning of the golden age, and Sri Bhagavan is coming to Jerusalem to anchor the golden age here in Israel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Incredible, really.
It's
okay.
very exciting.
Okay, what I would love to do, Shrestha, is I would love for you to send the Diksha to the people watching for maybe 5 or 10 minutes.
Awakening Diksha.
Whatever you think.
Yes. Yeah.
And then after that, we'll take a little break, and then I'll ask you about your other, because you're a very well-rounded person. You do many things, and they all can harmonize and contribute, actually, to making you who you are. So I'd love to
Yes.
ask you about other things as well. This is the central focus of I understand your mission, connected with Bhagavan maybe, is like a central focus, but all the other things you do are giving power and uniqueness to your particular role in the Oneness University and on the earth. So I'd love to get into some of the other things. So maybe we could, first can you tell me about the name Shrestha? Why was that given to you?
Sri Bhagavan gave it to me.
And what does it mean?
It has a few meanings. It's auspicious. It actually means auspicious.
Okay, absolutely.
Very special.
I agree, yes.
He said to me that he's giving me this name because I am very special to him.
Okay.
So for me, it's a very personal name.
As it should be.
Yeah, thank you. But that is what it's meant. So it's very auspicious, very special,
Well, certainly
blessed, very blessed.
the work you've done here is all of those things.
Yeah, thank you.
And that you were chosen to come here is more of the same. Okay. So,
I have been.
what?
I said, I have been.
Yes.
Sometimes despite myself, I have been.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
absolutely. I could witness
Yeah.
that. Okay. The change you brought to my life and my friends' lives, and I'm so grateful, and I know my friends are too.
Thank you.
So, okay, maybe you could.
You've done the same for me. You're a continuous inspiration for me, Eliyahu. Every time I think of you, I go, wow. You're a center and a beacon of light.
Okay, Tanala El, thank
It's
God.
always such a pleasure for me to come and meet you and be with you.
Well, it's
Because I'm in
very
awe.
mutual.
I'm in awe.
Okay, well, I'm in awe. So we can bow down to each other, right?
Yes. Yes.
We can namaste the audience because we have I know we have beautiful people, special people, everyone watching. So, sure, okay, can you diksha us?
Yes. Yes. You or the audience? Or both?
Us, all of us.
Okay.
Mainly the audience. Focus on the camera.
I'll do both.
Oh yeah. Uati. Uati. Hayati. Jesus. Ah.
Shanti.
Hiya. Oh, thank you, Shresh. Thank you,
You're
everybody.
welcome. Yeah.